Welcome to the 2013 Hell in a Cell, ladies and gentlemen. We've been waiting for this, wondering what the hell is about to happen here. Is Daniel Bryan finally going to get the championship? Will John Cena get the championship? All the things that we were wondering about, here you're going to get it. Now I'm going to do the kickoff show. Now the thing about this is, really wasn't announced much. I know it might have been announced on SmackDown. And it might have been announced on Wednesday Night Main Event, but really not much interest. Sandow versus Kofi Kingston. Was I interested? Not really. It was a good match. I want to say this about Hell in a Cell. The majority of the matches, they were quite good. They weren't great, huge qualities. There were a couple that were. But the majority of them were good. Passable. This is one of them. Seeing Kofi Kingston going up against Damian was okay. Damian wins the match. But what does this mean for Damian? Particularly what I'm going to talk about with John Cena and Alberto Del Rio. The question here is this. Will he cash in this year, or will they wait until next year to have him cash in? That I might do a debate of the week on. Because this is a very big question. What are they going to do with Damian, and when are they going to let him cash it in? They're not really promoting him much. I do have to say two things. The announcers for the kickoff show throughout the Hell in a Cell was good. Seeing Caitlyn, R-Truth, and Dolph was not bad. Seeing those little mic bits that were their skin color kind of threw me off. It would have been better if all five of them had black mics. But you having I don't know what color they had for Caitlyn and Dolph. That was for their skin color, lavender or something like that. And then R-Truth and having pitch black was kind of stupid. The way they talked was good. I enjoy seeing Caitlyn. She didn't look exactly comfortable in her white dress, having to constantly keep adjusting her big boobs. Well, as big as they're going to get. But I do have to admit, seeing this, I would love to see, once in a while, the commentary team for Raw to be switched out by the commentary team of one of the pay-per-views. Maybe once every 2 months. It would be nice to see that. And I'll explain this later, the reason why I'm thinking this, if I don't forget. Seeing that the three that usually do all the commentating really need some time off. And I'll explain that later. Now, the first match of the night. The triple threat for the tag team championship. Usos versus the Shield versus the Rhodes Brothers. Was the second best match of the night. For me. I know you guys got your own favorites. I believe this was the second best match of the night. It was that damn good. The thing about this now, that we've seen the Rhodes retain. What happens to the Usos? The way they look pretty damn pissed off. The way that JBL was trying to package them as very disgruntled workers who had their position taken by somebody else out of the blue. And it seems like the best option for the Usos now, turn them heel. This actually would be the best option right now. They haven't been heels since they first arrived in WWE in 2010. They were heels for a little while, then they got switched basically to faces. Maybe for the last year and a half, maybe 2. No, they were heels. They were heels in 2009. And they went into the WWE in roughly early to late 2010 as heels. They've been heels since FCW days. So here's the problem. They have never been able to get anywhere. So they may do, when in doubt, heel them out. They may heel them out to allow them to finally get the tag titles. Am I complaining about that? No. Let them turn heel. But to be honest, there's a problem with that. By turning them heel, that's if the WWE does it. They may just leave them as they are. They're still a very big fan favorite. You could see how the match was going. They were a fan favorite. The Rhodes against the Usos, the crowd really was almost split on them. But it was obvious the most strongest person there was Cody. So we're going to see what's going to happen. Next, the Miz segment. What does this mean for the Miz? Nothing, actually. The Miz really doesn't have anything to do right now. They really need to turn him back to heel. He was much better as a heel. Really. I'm bored with the Miz. As much as I like him, I'm bored with him. Need more from him. So when it comes down to it, Bray Wyatt cuts a okay promo on the Titantron. I didn't have a problem with that. Seeing, Luke and Eric taking out The Miz, I didn't really feel very interested. Until people started chanting for Kane, and they already knew Kane was coming back, baby. And Kane did come back. He demolished the Luke, the Eric, and then he demolished The Miz. So that means they're trying to turn Kane basically monster again. This is what we've been needing for Bray Wyatt. He needed someone that he can be comparable for. Well, comparable to, my mistake. And actually, to feud against. This makes perfect sense. You need a monster to take on a monster. And hopefully, that monster will transition onto his side, which will make better sense. Now, the thing that at first didn't make any sense, excuse me, I haven't had much sleep lately. I've been busy. But the thing at first that doesn't make any sense, but when you check on like ProWrestling.com, it makes some sense. Because if you don't watch Twitter, you don't watch Facebook, you're wondering, Biggie Langston was supposed to go up against Curtis Axel, but now he goes up against Dean Ambrose because of the kickoff show's little segment of pissing off a Dean Ambrose, pissing off a Biggie Langston, and Biggie Langston want to take him on, and Vicky makes the match. We already know that Curtis Axel got hurt, I think a couple of days before, and they just didn't want to get him worse, so they cut that little match, and they gave Dean instead. It was a very physical match, and in the end, what do we get? We get a cut open. It's actually on this side. His right eye, right under his right eye, got cut open because he was a little bit too physical. Look, big guys like Biggie Langston, the problem you have with them is that they do have some abilities. Some of them really got good abilities. But they majorly follow the power game. And Biggie Langston always going, "Ugh," like this. The problem with that type of move is when you're coming at somebody like that, there's a possibility you're going to butt heads, or in his case, his eye butted to the Dean Ambrose chin. Dean didn't look like he was bleeding at all, but he got cut open. But I got to say this. This doesn't mean the feud between him and Dean Ambrose is over. In actuality, I think this is finally a feud that I could be invested in. To a point. Biggie Langston's coming up. He has the potential, particularly, finally, someone realized they had to change his trunks, and his ass, instead of hanging out and wiggling like this, he's wearing tight trunks. I'm not a guy who likes looking at a guy's ass, but when they zoom in on the guy's ass, when he's doing some type of move, or he's laying down on the mat, and you see his butt cheeks wiggling around, who wants to see that shit? If it's a girl, yes, and I will be getting to some women in a minute. But you get my point. Biggie Langston, finally, he's not with AJ. He's by himself. He's charismatic enough that he could get over. And maybe they may let him go after that US strap. Dean is done with it. They didn't really promote him to do anything. Let Biggie have it. It'll make some sense. So I'm going to move on to the mixed tag. I got to get it over with. Fandango and Summer Rae versus Natalya and Khali. You can forget about Fandango and you forget about Khali. Doesn't matter about them. This was all about Summer Rae and Natalya putting her over. I was actually impressed for the work that Summer Rae did. Now, I have seen a little bit of NXT. Haven't seen a lot. I haven't had a chance to either look at it. And for some, well, actually, I've been really busy, so I haven't really had a chance to really look a lot at NXT. I have seen some things, particularly when it came to Mr. Parkin promoting it. So, Mr. Parkin, I thank you. But when you see Summer Rae, you see a very skinny, kind of skinny-ish woman who doesn't really have great curves, but she's very pretty with some nice legs. But when you see in the ring, she could have potential to be decently good. I'm not saying she's great, but at least Natalya put it over pretty well. So we actually could have a feud between Natalya and Summer Rae. But then that leads you to the question, what happens with AJ Lee? AJ versus Brie Bella. I don't know what to make of this. I only have one idea what it could be. This is about Total Divas and waiting until the show restarts for AJ to finally drop the strap. The question to who? Will it be Natalya? Maybe it will be. Maybe it might be a Naomi or Cameron. Maybe it may be Nikki Bella. And I have to say this about Nikki Bella. One thing I've noticed about her, since she does have a problem with her shin, I believe it's her right shin. Girl, if you're watching this, why don't you get a shin guard for your leg? No one can see it past your clothing. There's a good possibility this woman's going to hurt herself if she does not start wearing a shin guard. I hope that she starts wearing one under her ring attire, because she needs one. I keep getting this feeling she's going to hurt herself very badly if she doesn't. But I have to say this about the match. The match was alright. It was somewhat technical. Seeing several moves was not too bad. In the end, how did AJ win? Because she won due to distraction. And Nikki getting whacked in the head by Bree's knee to her head. I thought at first maybe they might do sibling versus sibling. But I don't think they're going to do that right now. They're both faces, and I doubt they're going to turn Nikki heel and keep Bree face for this. I don't think they're going to do it. It would actually be very interesting to see a Bella versus a Bella. But I doubt they'll do it. And I'm going to move on to the match many believe... No, not yet. The match I believe really shouldn't be happening. Los Matadores versus Real Americans. In the end, I'm just going to make it short. This is what I want to say. In the end, Los Matadores did a good showing with Real Americans, and they won. Zed looked ridiculous as usual, and he's alright. But here's the problem. Those Matadores have gone against 3MB 3 times already. 3. Now they're going against Real American. They'll probably do a 3 thing with them. But here's the problem. Real Americans could actually get over as a face team. And I really feel like they're going to cut the steam about this. I know people are going to say, are you kidding me? Real Americans? Jack Swagger? This is not about Jack Swagger. This is about Antonio Vazzato. And I know people are going to say, well, wait until Antonio breaks off from him and then it'll work. Yes, it could work easily when you have Jack Swagger putting over Antonio Vazzato. But right now, he's really hot when it comes to Cesaro swing. He did it to, I think it was Epico, he did that spin to. I could be wrong, you can tell me if it was Primo. But in the end, when it's hot like this, either you split them off immediately, which they're not going to, or you turn them face. And then have Jack Swagger turn heel, having conflict. This at least will not lose the momentum for an Antonio Vazzato. That's just me personally. But you guys tell me your opinion. Do you believe that Real Americans should turn face for Antonio? This is not about Jack. This is not about Zed. This is Antonio we're talking about. Now I am going to move on to the match that was very anticipated and wasn't necessary. ADR versus John Cena, which I believe was the match of the night. I know I can say about Orton and Daniel Bryan, and I'm saying this also as the match of the night. I'm going to say it clearly. The 2 matches of the night will be those 2 matches. But John Cena did a very good job with ADR. He did. The crowd, not even halfway through, were cheering their heads off. Doing the Cena sucks and let's go Cena. That's how they cheer for him. I know it's not one of the best things to do. Dividing the base isn't great, but that's how it goes. He was booed like crazy in the beginning. Not even halfway through it, they were cheering for his ass. And in the end, he wins the championship. ADR put him over very well. Now, what does this mean? Having John Cena with the title is actually the wisest thing to do. He's in the main title scene, but not the WWE title. John Cena must let someone else take the reins for a while. It's not because of his injury. Actually, it's disarm. But the point of the matter is this. They need to build a new star. And Daniel Bryan, no matter how much he's going to get there, and they will promote him as the face of the company eventually, you need it to be done. John Cena having this elbow injury, no, not elbow, tricep injury, my mistake, I'm sorry, really shows you that They need to build someone. That's the reason why he was not the main event. And I'm glad they're letting him have the world championship. He can put over younger stars. He could still be in the main title scene, but not hold the main title. He could be there, but not covering that. Let them keep him there for a while. But that also wonders about Damien Sandow. Like I said, I will cover it later. Now, the next match I'm going to talk about will be the CM Punk versus Ryback with Paulie on the cell, the Hell in a Cell roof, I guess. Frame, roof, scaffold, whatever you want to call it. Was it a good match? It was. But it wasn't the match of the night. Here's the problem. Not everyone's interested in Ryback. And even though the crowd was epic halfway through the show, halfway through that match, what really cared for the crowd wasn't Ryback and Punk. It was Paul Heyman with Punk. And this is where it kind of falls flat. They put Ryback with Paul Heyman at the wrong time. And it just, for me personally, it probably works for everybody else. It probably worked for you. But for me personally, seeing Ryback the way they did him, when he was really hot as a face, they turned him into a terrible heel, and then they tried to match him with a good heel manager in a storyline that really needed a Brock Lesnar. They need a Curtis Axel, who now is hurt, to really give a CM Punk an IC title run. I just don't feel like it was enough for me personally. It doesn't mean it was a terrible match, and there wasn't a bad outcome. Seeing Heyman get his ass whipped was nice. I enjoyed seeing him getting caned. He going, oh, he's acting like a bitch, scared. It was alright. Seeing him getting a little kiss on the head and then getting bang, bang was okay. See him getting the GTS, and the people were screaming for him to get the GTS. And when he got it, the crowd was epic. They were screaming happy. And that's the way it's supposed to be. But I'm looking at this long term more than I'm just looking at the moment. At the moment, it was a great match, and I did enjoy it. But it was not the match of the night. The two I've already talked about one, I'll talk about the other one. But when it comes down to it, what happens now? What they really need was Brock Lesnar, and they need Punk to win the IC Championship. I did say that Biggie Langston wasn't going to win the IC Championship, but now we know he couldn't win it anyway because Axel's hurt. We probably won't get an Axel and CM Punk match until Survivor Series, and that's where I think everything is leading to right now. The final match, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Oh, I don't want to forget Primetime Players with Mr. Bob Backlund, and you see the Primetime Players playing WWE 14, and then you see the epically great Mr. Bob Backlund. Mr. You must say to this man. I was only a little kid when this man came out. He was epic when he was there. Epic. I got mad when he disappeared in 85. I was angry as a motherfucker when he disappeared. I'm going, what happened to Bob Backlund? That was me then. But when you see him saying, we need to do something for the kids, I'm enthusiastic for the kids. Ow, fuck. Sorry, I gotta remember not to do that. But it was a lovely thing to see Mr. Bob Backlund. I hope they're bringing more out of him. I hope they show Mr. Bob Backlund more. Let him have more segments for the WWE and Raw because he's that good. And I'm hoping people will understand this eventually. But when it came to the final thing in the entire show, Orton versus O'Brien, it was also the match of the night. I can't decide between John Cena and ADR and Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan. So I'm saying that both matches of the night. I'm sure you're going to have your favorite, but I have to say that these two matches were the best you can get. The match quality for Daniel Bryan was very good. It was. By the end of the match, what did we get? We get a twist. We get the boss coming out, mad as hell, looked like he's about to claw his way through the ring, to get to Daniel Bryan, to get to his best friend, who is the HBK. But in the end, what happens? HBK gets hurt. He's actually concerned. He goes in. Daniel Bryan's gonna try and shake him. Hey, Sean, we need you. I need you. Please, you gotta count. You gotta count. He gets thrown away by the Triple H. And then Triple H gets the knee to the face by Bryan. And Bryan gets a super kick by HBK. In the end, Daniel Bryan loses and Orton gains his belt back. But what does this mean? It means they're going to drag this to Survivor Series, which actually is the wisest thing to do. Drag this to Survivor Series so you'll have a bigger payday on one of the 4 major pay-per-views. Putting Daniel Bryan over then, while this has been a tuner, these have been tuner pay-per-views for Daniel Bryan. So when they get to the big pay-per-view, when he does win, it'll make perfect sense. But this also kind of covers what I want to call about Damien Sandow. Damien is a question. I believe he may cash in by Survivor Series, or it will be at Royal Rumble. The reason I'm talking about Damien now, when I could have talked earlier, was simple. When you look around this, when you look at this, everything is set up for someone. Cody Rhodes is being set up, even though it's going to take a while with his brother. John Cena is set up for a long run, even though there's going to be a problem with Damien. You got Daniel Bryan that's going to be set up for Survivor Series so he can win. Hell, real Americans putting over those Matadoras eventually is going to build them up. And you don't know what's going to happen to Usos. I have this strange feeling not going to do anything with them, but I am hoping to turn them heel. Maybe they'll give them something to do. And maybe one day they'll get the titles. How to rate this show? I'll give it a B. It wasn't a top show, but it was solid. Solid enough going into Survivor Series. And I hope you enjoyed Zane's view of Hell in a Cell 2013. Subscribe and comment to my channel, ladies and gentlemen. Give me a thumbs up. And I will be getting my Raw review out soon. Give me your thoughts on this pay-per-view. Do you think anything could have been done better? Could have been done worse? Who you think should have won? I want to know. Peace!